The sole purpose of Advaita Vedanta is to encourage you to turn your attention back onto yourself. And due to all of our different conditionings that each one of us has, there could be a multitude of different topics it takes for us to find the validity within the message to help us do that turning. For instance, we could find the value in poetry or the arts or theater. It could be in religion, Christianity, Islam, Hinduism. It could be in spirituality or mysticism. Well, today's topic is on science or quantum physics specifically. Advaita could be considered the highest level of science there is because it is total scrutiny. You're scrutinizing everything that's false to relinquish what's false, and that which remains must be the truth. Well, in science, they call this the scientific method, where it is a non-biased, meaning zero ego approach to finding the truth of something. And that is exactly what self-enquiry is. But what makes Advaita so unique is that it's not scrutinizing anything in the world. It's scrutinizing the one that's perceiving the world. Again, it's likened to what most of us learned in, say, junior high biology, where we had the microscope that we were to use to analyze slides. But what did we do? We first studied the microscope in all of its different parts so that we understood it prior to analyzing substances with it. Well, that's what we do here in Advaita. We analyze the one that's observing, the so-called tool or the apparatus that's doing the observing of the manifestation. So you can see the comparison there. And when you understand the tool or the apparatus, you could call it, that is doing the viewing, then you understand how and what it is you're looking onto in its clearest form.
Hello. Today's analysis involves the comparison of quantum physics and Advaita Vedanta. It's all based on the fact that nobody, and I mean when it comes to the brightest minds in the world, the Einsteins of the world, nobody has ever found matter. Another way to say that is that matter does not have its own standalone existence. It's always relying on an underlying existence for its existence. So that you could say that all matter, or anything that is known to us in the physical world, borrows its existence from an underlying existence. And that's what we're going to go over today. But first I want to read to you a couple quotes from some of the most brilliant minds in the field. And the first one goes back to Max Planck, who is known as the father of quantum physics. Max says, "As a man who has devoted his whole life to the most clear-headed science, to the study of matter, I can tell you as a result of my research about the atoms this much. There is no matter as such." And what he's saying here is there is no standalone reality to any matter. The second quote comes from Bernardo Kastrup, who I'm sure some of us are familiar with. He was an employee at the European Organization for Nuclear Research, also known as CERN. And what Bernardo states is that, so what quantum physics is telling us is that matter has no standalone reality. Again, it means that all matter borrows its reality from an underlying substance. So let's review what this actually means as we walk through this. So we'll walk through quantum physics first. And the first few pointers are what we would call in the physical realm. And we would start with matter. Matter is anything in the known universe. And it comes in two forms, organic or inorganic. And organic matter is carbon-based. It's what all life forms are based on, from plants to animals to insects to humans. And inorganic is all of the inert substance, such as, dirt and water and air and rocks. But all matter borrows its reality from the underlying reality of carbohydrates, fats, proteins, and minerals. So carbohydrates, fats, proteins, and minerals, most of us are going to be familiar with. This is what we eat in our diet every day. And the minerals are what make up the inorganic world. Well, these borrow their reality from carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and elements. So all carbs, fats, and proteins are made up of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen primarily, and all of minerals are made of elements. And so then once we drop below this line, we get into what is known as the quantum realm. This is subatomic matter. This is where it gets smaller than atoms. It drops into what makes up an atom, which are protons, neutrons, and electrons. So protons, neutrons, and electrons are what give carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen their reality. But what gives protons, neutrons, and electrons their reality? It's the underlying reality of mesons and baryons, which, again, quarks and gluons are the underlying reality of mesons and baryons. And then come Higgs bosons. And then we get into a substance of dark matter, which this is where physicists go into a realm of just pure mathematics, pure computations of what they believe this to be. And you can see that up to now, all of this is only 30% of the known universe. It's 4% of the physical realm and 26% of the quantum realm. And then we drop into the unified field, which is 70%. And this is known as dark energy. And dark energy is the infinite potential. It's the one substance of all of reality. And this field, again, another quantum field of just pure mathematics, pure potential, pure unmanifested potential, you could say that. And it has really unique qualities to it. This is where David Bohm, the infamous quantum physicist, named it's non-local. Non-local means that there's nowhere in the whole network, in the whole fabric of the unified field that isn't connected to itself. Meaning if you touch the cosmos on one side, it will simultaneously know throughout the whole cosmos that you touched it here. So there's no such thing as, you could say, individuality or separateness or uniqueness to the unified field. Now we can hop over into Advaita. Well, from a Advaita point of view, what we're going to go over next is known as the gross body. This, again, is the physical type realm. And this is what we would say is the world. And the world has an underlying reality of our five senses. And this is where Advaita becomes so profound, because you can utilize your own existence, your own understanding, your own body and perceptions to follow along here to see that this is actually real, right? If you take your five senses away, if you take seeing, smelling, tasting, touch, and sound away, is there a world? No, there's no world. And the underlying reality of our five senses is our physical body, right? If you take the body away, can there be five senses? No, there cannot. And then what we would drop into the subtle body, which is comparative to the quantum realm. And this is our energy or our prana. This is, think about that. If you didn't have any energy, could the physical body be working? Then we drop into the egoic mind. And the underlying reality of the egoic mind is the intellect. And then the underlying reality is the will, or the vasanas that we might hear the will spoken as. And the underlying reality of the entire subtle body is the ego, the egoic I. You might have heard this mentioned as the I thought, the original thought, and the original thought is I am this body. And then we drop into the ultimate reality, the one reality that we would hear mentioned in Advaita. You could call it Brahman. Other terms could be Nirvana or heaven, God, the infinite. And this is self. This is I am. This is awareness. So the underlying reality of the world, you step back and back and back and back until you arrive at self. So what this is depicting is that we do not perceive reality for what it actually is. We believe that we were born into this universe that was already here prior to us being born into it. But again, nobody has ever found that. What this states is that the manifestation of the world and matter arises out of the nothingness of dark energy, out of awareness or self. And it pushes itself through all of these quantum realms and reality, or the subtle body and gross body, and it projects itself through this and projects the world that we know it. So in reality, we are projecting all of our perception. We actually project this and then step into it. We are creating our own reality, which is coming from the nothingness of the unified field, or the ultimate reality. So reality works from the unified field, or the ultimate reality, outwards. That is what the scientific community has discovered. And utilizing Advaita, we can apply this to our own experience. If you take your senses away, the world goes away. If you take the physical body away, the senses goes away. And so on, all the way down to self. And again, you can you can experience this directly through self-enquiry, which is in a different video than this. But the overall purpose of this video is to show you that in reality, there is no such thing as separation. There's only appearance that there's separation. And why is this important? Because when you appear the world to be a bunch of separate objects, you suffer. You miss out on the complete wholeness and love of your own self. That's the whole reason for Advaita, is to show you that you can live a life of permanent peace and happiness, causeless joy, if you choose to. And this video is just another way of showing you that this is the truth, that through science you can eliminate false knowledge and realize the truth, which is yourself. I'd like to read a couple sentences here from the CERN website. It says, a very large fraction of the universe, in fact 26%, is made of an unknown type of matter called dark matter. So even in the quantum realm, they don't know what dark matter is. It goes on to say, an even more mysterious form of energy called dark energy accounts for about 70% of the mass energy content of the universe. Even less is known about it than dark matter. This idea stems from the observation that all galaxies seem to be receding from each other at an accelerating pace, implying that some invisible extra energy is at work. Could this invisible extra energy be self? Be the unmanifested potential, infinite potential that manifests into the world that we know? I'd like to close with two quotes from very famous quantum physicists. The first one again is from Max Planck, which is the father of quantum physics. Max says, science cannot solve the ultimate mystery in nature, and it is because in the last analysis, we ourselves are part of the mystery we are trying to solve. So we, our being, is the answer, yet we're out in the world looking for the answer, when all we need to do is turn around and analyze our own self, and we'll find the answer. The second quote comes from Erwin Schrödinger. Erwin gave the initial equations, the quantum equations known as the Schrödinger equations, that allowed physicists like Albert Einstein and Heisenberg and Niels Bohr to complete their quantum analysis and theories. Erwin's quote, the only solution to this conflict, insofar as any is available to us at all, lies in the ancient wisdom of the Upanishads. And for those of us who don't know what the Upanishads are, they are the ancient Eastern texts, and they are what Advaita comes from. Advaita is a subset found in the Upanishads, and the Upanishads come from the Vedic texts of India. So I hope this was a good understanding how nothing, no thing, there are no things that have a standalone reality. Everything that we know has an underlying reality that it borrows its reality from, until you get all the way down into the one loving reality of your own being, your own self.